I'm 82 years old, and I spent most of my life confusing being needed with being loved. I didn't know there was a difference. I want to tell you about something I learned too late to fix. For most of my life, I believed that if people needed me, it meant they cared about me, that being useful was the same thing as being loved, that if I could just do enough, provide enough, fix enough problems, then I built my entire life around that belief. But I was wrong. Welcome back to my channel. I know most of you probably won't see this. My subscriber count is small and I'm not very good at this technology. But if you're here, if you're listening, then maybe this matters to someone. Maybe it'll save you from making the same mistake I did. Subscribe to this channel and try to watch to the end. Leave a comment if you want, even just a word or two. It helps me know I'm not just talking to myself. I'm sitting here now in a house that's too quiet. My wife passed away 6 years ago. My kids are grown, with families of their own. They live in different states. They're busy with their lives. I see them maybe twice a year. When I was younger, I used to imagine what my life would look like at this age. I thought I'd be surrounded by people, grandchildren running around the house, family dinners to keep us united together, a full house, if you don't mind. Instead, I spend most of my days alone. And the hardest part isn't the loneliness itself. It's knowing that I'm the one who created it. Let me go back to the beginning so you understand how this happened. I grew up poor. Not the kind of poverty people talk about in stories, but the quiet kind. The kind where you always have just enough, but never anything extra. My father worked in a factory. My mother cleaned houses for other families. They taught me that the way you earn your place in the world is by being useful, by working hard, by making yourself indispensable. And I took that lesson to heart. I was 23 when I got married. My wife's name was Linda. She worked as a secretary at the same company where I'd just been hired as a junior accountant. She was beautiful. Not just physically, though. She was that too. But she had this way of laughing that made you feel like everything was going to be okay. I remember our wedding day. It was small, just family and a few friends. We couldn't afford anything fancy, but I made her a promise that day. I told her I would take care of her, that she would never have to worry about money or security, that I would work hard and build a good life for us. And I meant it. For the first few years, things were good. We lived in a small apartment. We didn't have much, but we had each other. Linda would cook dinner, and we'd eat together at the kitchen table. We'd talk about our days, our plans, our dreams. I remember feeling like that was enough, but then we had our first child, a son. We named him Michael, and suddenly everything changed. I felt this weight on my shoulders that I'd never felt before. This responsibility I needed to provide, to make sure we had enough money for diapers and formula and doctor's visits, to make sure Linda could stay home with the baby if she wanted to. So I started working more hours. At first, it was just an extra hour or two each day, staying late to finish a project, coming in on Saturday mornings to catch up on paperwork. My boss noticed. He started giving me more responsibility, more important accounts, and I was proud of that. I was 28 years old, and I was making a name for myself at the company. I was someone people could depend on. At home, Linda was managing everything with the baby. She was exhausted most of the time, but she never complained. When I'd get home late, she'd have dinner waiting for me. Sometimes she'd already eaten with Michael. Sometimes she'd wait, even though I could tell she was tired. I'd kiss her on the forehead and tell her I was doing this for us, for our family, and she'd nod and say she knew. But I didn't see the way she looked at me when I wasn't paying attention. I didn't notice that she'd stopped telling me about her day. Our second child, a daughter we named Sarah, was born when I was 31. By then, I'd been promoted twice. I was managing a small team, making good money. We moved into a bigger house, 3 bedrooms, a yard for the kids. I was so proud of that house. I'd worked so hard for it. But I was also working 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I'd leave before the kids woke up and come home after they'd gone to bed. On weekends, I'd try to be present. I'd play with Michael and Sarah for a little while, but there was always something else that needed my attention. Bills to pay, yard work to do, projects to finish. Linda started asking me to take a day off, to just spend time with the family. I'd say yes, and then something would come up at work. An emergency, a client meeting, something that couldn't wait, and I'd cancel. I told myself it was temporary, that once I got the next promotion, once we had a little more money saved, once things settled down, then I'd have more time. But that time never came, because there was always something else, always another goal to reach, always someone who needed me to handle something. Michael was 10 years old when he had his first baseball game. He'd been practicing for weeks. He was so excited. He asked me every day if I was going to be there, and I promised him I would. The day of the game, I was at the office. I'd planned to leave early, but my boss called me into his office. There was a problem with a major client. He needed me to handle it. I told myself it would only take an hour, that I'd make it to the game late, but I'd still be there. 3 hours later, when I finally got to the field, the game was over. Linda and the kids were in the parking lot getting ready to leave. Michael saw me and ran over. I expected him to be angry or upset, but he just said, "It's okay, Dad. I know you were busy." And he smiled. That smile broke something in me, but I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I'd dodged a bullet. That he understood. That everything was fine. Now I know that smile was him learning not to expect me to show up. Sarah was in high school when she made the honor roll. Straight A's. She came home so proud, holding her report card. I was in the middle of a work call when she tried to show me. I held up a finger, the universal sign for wait a minute. But the call went longer than I expected, and when I finally hung up, Sarah had gone to her room. I meant to go talk to her, to congratulate her, to tell her how proud I was, but I got distracted by an email. And then another call. And then it was late, and I told myself I'd talk to her in the morning. But in the morning, I had an early meeting. And when I got home that night, the moment had passed. She never brought up her grades again. Years went by like this. A steady accumulation of small absences, tiny moments that felt insignificant at the time. But they weren't insignificant. They were everything. I missed Michael's graduation because I was at a conference. I missed Sarah's first dance recital because I had to work late. I missed anniversaries and birthdays and ordinary Tuesday nights when Linda just wanted to talk. And every time, I told myself it was for them, that I was building a life for them, that they needed me to work hard so we could have nice things. But what they actually needed was for me to be there. And I wasn't. The turning point came when I was 61 years old. I came home from work one evening and Linda was sitting at the kitchen table. She'd been crying. I asked her what was wrong. She looked at me for a long time before she spoke. Then she said, "I've been lonely for 20 years. I didn't understand what she meant. I was right there. I'd always been there. But she shook her head. She said, "You're here, but you're not present. You haven't really looked at me in years. You don't ask about my life. You don't notice when I'm sad or happy or struggling. You just exist next to me." I started to argue, to defend myself, but she held up her hand. She said, "I know you work hard. I know you think you're doing it for us, but I would have traded the bigger house and the nicer car and all of it for you to just sit with me, to talk to me, to see me." I didn't know what to say. She told me she wasn't leaving, that she'd made a commitment to our marriage and she was going to keep it. But she said, "I just need you to know that I've been alone for most of our marriage, and I don't think you even noticed." I tried to change after that. I really did. I started coming home earlier. I'd ask Linda about her day. I'd try to be more present, but it felt awkward. It felt as if I was forced to do it. We'd sit together on the couch and I wouldn't know what to say. We'd become strangers living in the same house. The kids were grown by then. Michael had moved across the country for a job. Sarah had gotten married and settled 2 states away. They called on holidays, visited once or twice a year. But our relationships felt surface level, like we were all going through the motions, 'cause that's what families are supposed to do. Linda got sick when she was 72. Cancer. It happened fast. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. I took time off work to take care of her. It was the first time in my life I'd prioritized something over my job, but it was too late. We'd sit together in the hospital room and I'd hold her hand and I'd feel this enormous distance between us that I didn't know how to cross. One night, near the end, she squeezed my hand and said, "I wish we'd had more time." And I knew she didn't mean more years. She meant more real time, more moments where I was actually present with her. She died on a Tuesday morning. The kids came for the funeral. They stayed for a few days after. Then they went back to their lives, and I was alone. That was 6 years ago. Now I sit in this house and I think about all the things I got wrong. I think about Linda and how she spent most of our marriage feeling invisible. I think about Michael and Sarah and how I taught them not to count on me. I think about all the moments I missed because I thought being needed at work was more important than being present at home. And I understand now what I didn't understand then. Being needed is not the same as being loved. People at work needed me because I was useful, because I could solve problems and meet deadlines and make things happen. But that's not love. Love is about presence, about paying attention, about seeing someone and letting them see you. Love is showing up not because you have to, but because you want to bend there. I spent my whole life being needed, and I thought that was enough. But now I'm old, and I'm alone, and I realize I was wrong. My kids don't call very often. When they do, the conversations are brief and polite. They ask if I'm doing okay, if I need anything. but they don't ask about me, about what I'm thinking or feeling or remembering, because they never learned how to do that, because I never taught them, because I never let them really know me. I was always the provider, the problem solver, the guy who could be counted on to show up with money or advice or a solution, but I was never just a person to them. Just dad, just a human being they could talk to and connect with, and that's my fault. I don't have much time left. I know that. I'm 82 years old. I have health problems. Every year, more of my friends pass away, and I know that when I'm gone, my kids will remember me as someone who worked hard, who provided for them, who paid for their education and helped them buy their first cars. But I don't think they'll miss me the way I wish they would, because they never really knew me, and I never really knew them. If you're listening to this and you're younger than I am, please hear what I'm trying to say. Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't confuse being needed with being loved. Don't spend your life being so useful that you forget to just be present. Your kids don't need you to work overtime. They need you to show up to their games and recitals and ordinary moments. Your partner doesn't need you to solve all their problems. They need you to sit with them and listen and really see them. The people in your life don't need you to be perfect or successful or impressive. They need you to be there, to be really there for them. Not distracted, not thinking about work, not planning the next thing. Just be there. I can't get back the time I lost. I can't redo those conversations or show up to those missed events or be present in the moments I let slip away. But maybe you can. Maybe you still have time. I hope you do. I hope you use it better than I did, because being needed feels important in the moment. It feels like you're building something that matters. But at the end of your life, when you're sitting alone in a quiet house, you'll realize that what actually mattered were the connections you made, the moments you showed up, the times you were truly present with the people you loved. And if you didn't do that, if you spent your life being needed instead of being present, then you'll end up where I am now, alone with your regrets. If this story meant something to you, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a comment, even just a few words. It helps me feel a little less alone. Thank you for listening to an old man's confession. I hope it helps you make better choices than I did. Before you go, there's something else I need to tell you. Something I learned even later than this. It's about the one conversation I avoided my entire life, the one that would have changed everything. I recorded it yesterday. If you have a few more minutes tomorrow to spare, I think you should watch it. I will be right back here again tomorrow.